Okay, be honest, did this year turn out the way that you imagined? No? Okay, same. But the good news is the year isn't over yet, and it's not too late to change your mindset on how the year went and reframe what you're feeling right now. So get ready with me while we talk about how to rewire your brain for success before the end of the year. Okay, so I started this year thinking that I'd be in a completely different place by now. I thought I'd be living in a new city. I thought I'd be in my own place. I thought I would have made X amount of money. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the things that I put on my vision board did happen, but a lot of them also didn't. And for some reason, I am more fixated on how behind I feel. So I did some research into why I feel this way despite having checked off a lot of the boxes on my vision board. If you're feeling the same way, then keep watching this video because I will explain why you feel so behind even though you're not. And I find that the end of the year is when you go on social media and you see people posting their 2025 recaps, what they did, what they accomplished. And now that we are in our 20s, it's when people start going through different life stages that a lot of us are trying to reach. So moving out, finishing degrees, getting married, that could also be it if that's a goal for you. Okay, so the end of the year isn't for criticizing yourself or shaming yourself for all the things that didn't happen for you. It's about being gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, and understand where it is that you can do better next year or where it is that you need to give yourself a little bit more grace. But before we jump into the habits or goals, I want to start with mindset. You guys know I'm really big about mindset, the way that you think, being in tune with your wellness and your health, because I always think that no strategy really works unless your head is clear. And I learned this really young where I realized that if my head was not clear, it reflected in my environment. And that's why I really take good care of making sure the environment around me is clear and clean and organized. So the first thing that you're doing wrong is you're waiting for a new year to begin. And right now we're in November. We still have about 50 days left until the end of the year. And to be honest, if you feel like changing your life, the best time is now. They always say I think the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday, but the second best time is today. I 100% agree with that. And I think that if anything, it's better to set your goals before the new year starts because now you have the time. You're not clouded by all these other people setting their goals. And you're also not operating from this mindset that you're already behind before this year even starts. You don't always have to reset yourself. If you think about it, a lot of life really is just ordinary moments. So if you think that every year of yours should be outstanding, or you should be accomplishing something huge or making millions of dollars, then you should be setting those systems in place to accomplish that. But for a lot of you who are in your 20s, or you're just newly graduated, or you just started working, this is the beginning of your journey. You shouldn't be so hard on yourself and thinking that you're not as far as those YouTubers or those TikTokers or those gamers, streamers that are millionaires in their 20s already. And that brings me to my next point. It's when you're doing too much without asking why. And burnout doesn't always come from working too hard. It also comes from doing too much of the wrong things. So ask yourself, what is it that I really want? And then make smaller goals to get yourself there. For example, if you want to get into grad school, that's your bigger goal. You're going to start by networking with people who are already in the program that you want to get into. And then you're going to attend the open house for that grad school. And then you're going to take your applications day by day and work on them until you get something that you're happy with. You're going to ask for feedback. See how you break it down into multiple different steps to get to your end goal. If you just sit there and study, okay, how can I get into this program and graduate with a 4.0 and then get into this company, then you really will find yourself burnt out and exhausted and also just not enjoying the process. And this is something that I noticed with myself as well. In grad school, I was so focused on the external outcomes and I found that I wasn't really enjoying my research as much until I shifted my mindset. So ask yourself what it is that you really want. And if you don't find yourself being excited for something, or you feel like you're doing something out of obligation to somebody else, then it's probably not thing for you. Also, my makeup is not going to be in order as usual. What else is new? And the next thing is that you've outgrown habits that once worked. I found myself kind of falling victim to this as well because I was following the same habits that worked for me while I was a student. But then once I graduated and I had started working, I had to start doing new things. I had to start forming new habits to reach my goals. And they always say not everything that served you last season deserves a spot in the next. Find new habits that work for you. Talk to people who are in the same situation that you're in. Ask them what worked for you. A lot of the times it is trial and error. And I think ambiguity is something that a lot of us struggle with, especially in our 20s. So I would say audit your routines, your morning routine, your night routine, your work routine, your study routine, your family routines, whatever, every routine that you have in your life, you should audit that, see what's working, what's not working, and what you can do better, what you can do 1% better. You should also think about what feels good for you and what feels forced. This is something that I've noticed with my fitness, where I was trying all these workout classes and I just felt like I was forcing myself to exercise because I knew that it was good for me, it was good for my body, which it was, but I found that I was going to mat Pilates classes because it's what was trending and it's what my friends were doing and enjoying, and also spin class is something that my friends were enjoying, but I really wasn't. So I ended up signing up for boxing, and the very first time I did it, I did bring a friend with me just because it felt so intimidating, but then after that I started going by myself, and I even signed up to have my own personal trainer, and I found that that was something that I really had to put myself out there and do by myself. I really had to do on my own. A lot of your adult life is decisions that you make by yourself, so you really can't rely on other people or see what they're doing or what they like before you make your own decision. Okay, here's the next one, and this is something that a lot of you will resonate with, and that is setting goals from a place of pressure. Take a look at your goals after you write them down and ask yourself, are they rooted from fear, comparison, or shame? And if so, even if you hit those goals, you just won't feel good. So you need to pick goals that align with what you want and not what other people want. At the end of the day, it's your life and we only get to live this life one time. So you should really stop trying to make other people happy and start living for yourself. Okay, and this next thing is something that I really struggled with when I had started my new job, and that is treating progress like a straight line. And you'll realize that growth really is not linear, especially when you're learning new softwares, you're learning new skills. Growth is rarely linear. Some months will just be about getting clarity, and other months will be action oriented. But both of those matter, and both of those are valuable. So don't think that you're behind or you're not growing just because you're not seeing the results or you're not crossing off items on your to-do list. You really have to trust the process with this. Even when it feels like a loop, you're not where you started, because you're always going to be ahead of where you started when you put in the time to really work on something. So this is something that everyone has, and it's called an inner compass. And this is something that you really need to look at when you're making your vision board, when you're setting your goals for the year, or even when you're thinking about where to move or what you want next in this life. You have to ask yourself, what actually matters to me? There's this book that I read last year when I challenged myself to read 50 books, and it's called Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. And in that book, it's all about people who have really found their purpose, and that's why they end up living longer lives, because they just feel so fulfilled in their jobs and in their tasks and in their day-to-day activities. I highly recommend you read that book. It's not too long. This book helps you understand what you really feel passionate about, what you love doing, and what can actually make you money, and how to combine those forces together to give yourself the ideal life. And from there, your intuition will automatically pick up on the things that you enjoy doing, what you really want to make a living off of, and how you want to spend the rest of your days. Okay, this is a big one for me, and I already talked about this, but it is the fact that your environment reflects your energy. This could include clutter, distractions, digital noises, anything that distracts you from doing your work, or you stop working just to focus on this one thing. So I really found that keeping my phone in do not disturb, except for a few apps, including email, phone calls, and messages from certain people, I found that this really helps me to really lock in and stay focused for longer periods of time. And I don't have any notifications on for social media apps. So if someone sends me something on Instagram, if someone sends me something on TikTok, I won't get a notification for it unless I physically unlock my phone and open the app. I've noticed that this stops me from doom scrolling. It stops me from doom scrolling more often than I used to. I still doom scroll here and there, but not as much as I used to. I'm also finding myself less fatigued by my screen because of this. But take a really good look at your space. Throw it or donate any clothing or any materials that you just don't see yourself using and you think somebody else would benefit from them. You find the less clutter you have in your environment, in your space, in your life, the better your life actually flows. And I'm almost done doing my makeup. Something else that a lot of people do is they're waiting for the confidence before they even begin. Confidence doesn't come before action. For example, when I first started posting on social media, I was kind of waiting for something to go viral or get a lot of views views so I could get more followers, because it felt kind of cringe just posting without anyone following me. But if you really think about it, your favorite creators, they all started from zero. They all started from nothing. They all started from 0 followers, 0 subscribers. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after you're scared and you put yourself out there and you get vulnerable with your goals. And my advice to you is just start now. Don't wait for the new year to start on that new goal. Start now so you can figure it out. And by the new year, who knows, you might have popped off and you'll just keep going. Don't wait for the perfect time before starting something, because the perfect time will never come. And this is also why a lot of people don't do that thing they're always talking about. And you'll notice this with a lot of older people who have a lot of regrets in their life. They're just like, I was waiting for X, Y, and Z to align first before I did this, but then that time never came. So you don't want to end up like them. They say that clarity and confidence are on the other side of courage, and I 100% agree with that. Everything that I've taken risks on has 100% been worth it. And for me lately, it's been starting my digital planning business, and I'm so happy that I launched and I announced it on my social media, because now I'm making videos to promote it. And yeah, it feels cringe because I haven't gone viral or anything overnight, but to be honest, I know that this is just the beginning. I know that there's so much more to come from this. Because of all the work that I've put into it, I just know the next steps are for me to grow it and make it even bigger. This one is for all my perfectionists, all my high achievers, and that is, you're undervaluing your small wins. You think you've made no progress because you're not celebrating the 1% shifts. So for example, if you say I've applied to 500 jobs, but I still don't have a job offer, think about it. You've applied to 500 jobs. You've probably gotten a bunch of interviews. So that is all experience, and just getting an interview in itself does put you one step forward. You have to appreciate the practice that gets you there, because not everyone applies to their first job and gets that interview and then gets hired from it. It's all about the journey to get there. You have to realize that small progress is still momentum. And if you really think about it, that time that you've spent applying, maybe your dream company is coming up with the perfect role and you just need to wait for the time to align for that. So if you think about it, micro moves equal to macro changes. And that also goes with working out. So if you start by walking 10k steps a day, by the end of the 30th day, you're going to notice changes in your physique. You're going to notice changes in your energy levels. You might not have lost the amount of weight that you wanted to, but if you think about it, you have made changes in your health, and it might not be a crazy change walking 10k steps every day, but you do feel it, and your health will 100% reflect that. And the last thing is that you're forgetting who you are. You have to think about all the things you've accomplished so far and all the hard work that it took to get you there, and all the hard work that you're willing to put in to get to where you want to be. And you're not starting from zero. You have all this life experience. If you think about it, you've already accomplished so much that you should absolutely be so proud of. You're starting from experience, you're starting from resilience, you're starting from proof that you've already grown. So you've already survived so many versions of yourself, so there's no need to be so hard on yourself for this 1 year where you feel like it didn't look like what you thought it was going to look like. But if you really think about it, the universe has ways of blessing us with so much more than what we thought we could achieve. So just hang in there, and I hope that this video was helpful for you, and I really hope you guys found this video useful. I hope that this video helped you guys reframe the way that you saw this year, if this year didn't turn out how you thought it would, because I also have the same feelings, and I also find myself feeling the same thoughts as you, and I have to remind myself of all these points regularly. I hope that this was helpful. Don't forget to check out Mindspace. That's my digital planning business. I would love for you guys to check out my vision board planners. I have daily planners on there. I have weekly planners. I also have journaling prompts that are amazing and wonderful for everyday use. So check out the link in my bio for my digital planners, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.